Now at 10, 2 confirmed tornadoes in the 4 states and damaged trees and power outages. Gonna have the latest on last night's storms. Plus, authorities released more details on a Joplin death investigation and why some retailers have abandoned the traditional Columbus Day weekend sales.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
It's quiet tonight, but last night, storms packed a punch, leaving behind damage and power outages in its wake. This is KOAM News at 10. We go straight to meteorologist Nick Kelly with the latest now, Nick.
Yeah, this time last night, Jordan, I was busy tracking the thunderstorms that were ready to just steamroll on through. Fortunately, a much different picture this time around. That's a nice and quiet look from 7th and Range Line from the east side of Joplin. Temperatures much more like fall. 57 this morning, and once we got rid of the last of the stubborn clouds and the rain from this morning, we saw temperatures topping out, at least at Joplin, around 71. Nothing on the radar network. Even though that's the case right now, I do see developing cloud cover out west trying to roll in. Hints about our next storm system, I hate to say it, that is ready to start marching our way. In the short term, though, it's not doing anything for us tonight. In fact, we're chilly and quiet. Mid to upper 50s across the area to start the overnight out. With that said, the cloud cover out west will pass on through by morning, but nothing underneath the clouds. We'll start chilly at 53. Ahead of that next wave, maybe a couple stray storms in our far western counties in the afternoon, but we'll have highs topping out around 78. We'll take another look at the rain chances with our next storm system a little later, Jordan, but I understand we were able to figure out what exactly happened with the storms last night.
Yeah, Nick Kelly, thank you. A confirmed tornado touchdown in northeastern Jasper County. This one came from a storm just before 5 this morning. The National Weather Service confirms an EF0 tornado touchdown in the area of Sumac Road and County Road 40. The tornado nearly paralleled County Road 40 heading north where it lifted near Barton County Boulevard. The tornado caused damage to trees along its path, also knocked down irrigation systems and destroyed an outbuilding at a home along Barton County Boulevard. An EF1 tornado touched down nearly 4 hours before in Newton County, following a path from County Highway AA to Oak Road, just southwest of Neosho. Officials say these 2 tornadoes are a stark reminder of the changing weather here in the 4 states.
Tornadoes can happen at any time, although as you get into the cooler months, they tend to be not as strong. So we still have to be vigilant, still have to be aware.
While both tornadoes resulted in damage, thankfully, officials say there were no injuries or fatalities. In addition to tornadoes caused by last night's storms, high winds, heavy rain caused trees to fall and take out some power lines. KOM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on what damage was seen in Joplin and Carthage.
My first calls were about 6 o'clock this morning, probably 2 weeks worth of work.
David Bratt, who owns Pacific Trees in Joplin, says Sunday night's storm has business booming due to damage.
We had pretty good winds last night, and anytime you have weak trees and heavy winds, that's what's going to happen.
A big reason for the damage has to do with a lot of these tree limbs right behind me.
Storms rolled in overnight. We had lots of wind damage, so most of our damage that we saw was due to wind just breaking poles, wind causing limbs to fall off trees. We even had some complete trees fall down in town.
Damage from the overnight storms can be found across the 4 states. Crews from Carthage Water and Electric say they responded to damage reports from these falling trees as early as 4 a.m.
The wind brought some trees down. It tangled some of our primary lines together, so it was kind of a mixture of lines twisted and then trees coming down onto our primary.
Leaving many Carthage residents without power early Monday morning. Although Carthage Water and Electric says crews didn't let it last too long.
All of that caused the outages that we saw this morning that we were able to get back up pretty quickly. Unfortunately, it happened, in the early morning hours.
And if the area gets any more severe weather anytime soon, there are some precautions that can be taken to avoid an outage.
It's always a good idea, especially going into the winter time, to have, maybe an emergency preparedness kit with water and other supplies that you might need, just in case there is an extended outage.
Although Carthage Water and Electric says those situations are rare. In Joplin and Carthage, Bronte Sorotsky, KUAM News.
Although storms like the one seen last night aren't as common this time of the year as they are in the spring, Carthage Water and Electric still stresses the importance of being prepared year-round. Joplin police have released the names of 2 people who are the subjects of a death investigation. They are 87-year-old Arlene Smolik and 88-year-old William Smolik. The two were found dead with gunshot wounds in their home on the 1300 block of Massachusetts Street in Joplin. Arlene was found inside, William outside in the backyard. The police say they are not seeking a suspect at this time. Pedestrian from Kansas is dead after being struck by two hit-and-run drivers near Arrowhead Stadium as a man was leaving the Kansas City Chiefs game. Police are still searching for the drivers who fled the scene last night. The victim was a 66-year-old man from Wichita, Kansas. Police say the man and another person left the game early, so traffic crews were not yet on the scene to assist with exiting. The second person was not struck. Police say the victim was hit by a vehicle and, while laying in the roadway, was run over by a second vehicle. The man passed away at a hospital. Well, today is a federal holiday, and for many years, some retailers used the long weekend to promote Columbus Day sales. But experts say the public's shifting perception of the holiday is impacting the way companies market their fall deals. Jen Sullivan has a closer look at the changing tactics.
A once popular holiday with retailers seeing a decline as a cultural shift impacts how retailers market Columbus Day sales.
Less consumers have Columbus Day off, partially as a result of some of the controversy around the holiday. You're not seeing that 3-day long sale that would draw consumers to the store in the same way.
Katie Thomas, the leader of the Kearney Consumer Institute, says retailers are updating their tactics to advertise deals in a more culturally appropriate way, as more of the country celebrates the traditional holiday as Indigenous Peoples Day instead.
Columbus Day really started with traditional department stores and almost shopping districts in a way that they don't really exist anymore.
On Friday, President Biden issued a proclamation commemorating Indigenous Peoples Day and acknowledged the destruction of Native communities following the arrival of Christopher Columbus in North America. As more people adopt Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day, experts say retailers are paying attention.
I think that they're making the right move by moving away from this with pretty low risk to themselves while trying to figure out what other values are more important to their core consumers.
And the debate comes amid massive global supply chain disruptions.
On top of supply chain issues, there's price increases, and also the Postal Service is calling out that they may have delivery issues again.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
More than 100 U.S. cities have replaced Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day, including Seattle, Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix, and San Francisco. Several states, including Minnesota, Alaska, Vermont, and Oregon, have chosen to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day as well. Facebook whistleblower Frances Hogan is set to meet with the social media giant's oversight board in the coming weeks. The board, which is an independent court-like entity for appealing content decisions on Facebook-owned platforms, announced the news today. Hogan set off a firestorm recently after she leaked tens of thousands of pages of documents to the lawmakers and the Wall Street Journal. Her message, backed up by the documents, was that Facebook repeatedly prioritized profits over public good. She detailed a range of concerns in a Senate hearing last week. Among those concerns, that Facebook knows it's serving young users harmful content that glorifies eating disorders. She's also indicated the use of Facebook by authoritarian leaders could present national security concerns. Facebook pushed back against the accusations and said it devotes ample resources to combating harmful content. Well, last week, we told you Oklahoma State Superintendent Joy Hoffmeister announced she is joining the race for Oklahoma governor. To take on Governor Stitt, a Republican, Hoffmeister will change parties and run as a Democrat. It's a move that she says is a result of watching how Stitt was running the state.
Well, you know, it was one of great reflection over many months, and I can no longer identify with Kevin Stitt's Republican Party. It is narrow and excluding the majority of Oklahomans who care about values like common sense, working together and respecting one another. And I can lead where Governor Stitt has been unable to.
The state's gubernatorial election is going to take place in November next year. Still ahead, pharmaceutical company Merck has submitted an application for an emergency use authorization for a pill to fight COVID-19. And later, it's postseason softball time in McDonald County as the Mustangs prepare for districts. The Joplin Health Department is reporting 2 more COVID-19 related deaths. Officials say the patients were a 64-year-old man and a 44-year-old woman. The latest deaths bring the city's total to 175. Data shows that most of the people who participated in Missouri's COVID-19 vaccine lottery were already immunized before the program started. The incentive program was started in July as Missouri struggled to control a surge in cases driven by the more transmissible Delta variant in less vaccinated communities. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services conducted the last of the drawings in the program Friday. Among the participants, 57,117 adults got the shot after the program was announced, while nearly 600,000 got the shot beforehand. 68 million people are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, but have yet to get one. Well, a new pill could save the lives of those who catch COVID-19. Deborah Alfarone has the latest.
Pharmaceutical company Merck is asking the FDA to grant an emergency use authorization for a pill to fight COVID-19. Molnupiravir is targeted to unvaccinated people who develop symptoms. Trials show it cuts hospitalizations and deaths by about half.
The power of an oral outpatient medication, such as molnupiravir, it would be a remarkable game changer.
Dr. Andrew Bazemore is a senior vice president at the American Board of Family Medicine. He says the pill is not a replacement for the vaccine.
We have to have both prevention and treatment if we're going to get out of this.
The White House hopes authorization comes within weeks and has already put in an initial order for 1.7 million doses.
It's not going to be widely available. To put that into perspective, 1.7 million doses probably would have been enough to cover you for 3 weeks of the Delta wave in the South.
My job is to protect my child.
For West Virginia mom of 5, Ashley Potter, the vaccine is the best option to keep her family safe.
As soon as our pediatrician says yes, then my child will, Lindley will get the vaccine.
Potter's youngest is 7 years old.
Now, if you ask her, she will say, I'm done with COVID, give me my shot.
Pfizer says it's preparing to immediately ship doses for children 5 to 11 years old if the FDA authorizes the vaccine for that age group. It's a decision that could come by Halloween. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Booster shots could become more widely available this month as well. On Thursday and Friday, the FDA's advisory panel of vaccine experts will discuss boosters for both Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on mental health. The first global estimate, published in The Lancet, shows depressive disorders surged by 28% last year. That's more than 50 million new cases, by the way. Anxiety disorders increased 26%. Women and younger people were the most affected, particularly in countries with major lockdowns. Pregnant women infected with COVID may face a greater risk of complications. A study in Israel tracking more than 2,000 women found those symptomatic with COVID were more likely to experience gestational diabetes and heavier bleeding during delivery. Also, their babies were at a higher risk of respiratory complications. Later, the Kansas City Chiefs are once again below 500 after a devastating loss to the Buffalo Bills. Going to hear from the team in sports.
But first, even though we're done with one storm system, the next one's lining up and ready to roll in. We'll break it down next.
Over 800,000.
It's nice that we're going into the rest of the night and the morning ahead of us this time around with no severe weather to worry about, but we had to deal with plenty of that late last night and going into this morning with not just that first batch of storms, but the second one as the main surface low rotated throughout the entire region. That is what spawned a weak tornado around Jay in Delaware County in Oklahoma. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, those 2 brief tornado touchdowns just outside of Neosho and outside of Golden City and Dudenville near the Jasper-Barton County line. Overall, though, we all saw rain out of this storm system, anywhere from 1/2 inch to 2.5 inches. But you average it all out, just about 1.5 inches for the entire region. But it's nice that we're looking quiet this time around. I say that, but let's enjoy it before our next storm system starts to roll on in. Looking quiet though, not just from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Nice live shot outside of Seneca, Missouri, but from 7th and Rangeline in Joplin as well. We'll call that a mostly clear sky as well, while temperatures are quite chilly. 55 degrees already, a south breeze light at 3 miles per hour, and we're not too far off from where we'll bottom out for the rest of the night. Most of us are still in the mid-50s, already near 50 around Stockton Lake and Greenfield, and I think that's generally where we're going to bottom out. Lower 50s as we go into another chilly start for your Tuesday morning. The last storm system, it has completely exited the entire four-state region. It's still working its way across the Great Lakes, and earlier it actually spawned some more severe weather across central and northern parts of Illinois, but we're done with that system. That's the next one, though. With that next cold front off to the north and west, that starts heading our way tomorrow as this upper level low out of Nevada also starts to move along across the Rocky Mountain range. Before we can do anything for us, though, a little cloud cover is developing out in central and western parts of Oklahoma. Some of that will just spread on through. Nothing underneath the clouds, though, so we are dry to start your Tuesday morning out. Overnight lows, chilly, but not too terribly so. Most of us around 53. Let's go into your Tuesday afternoon. Here's lunchtime. Partly sunny skies to start the afternoon out. Then ahead of that next wave, maybe a couple of isolated storms in our far western and southwestern counties. In general, though, I think the vast majority of us will stay on the dry side throughout much of the day. Let's go 53 in the morning, 73 by noon, and even with increasing clouds, I still think we can hit a high of about 78 degrees. We'll watch for more scattered storms going into Tuesday night, mainly west of the Missouri state line. But then look at what happens out to the west. That's going to be where the bulk of the severe weather will be with that next cold front rolling in out in central and western parts of Kansas. With that said, though, from 4 a.m. until we get to about 7 or 8 a.m., we'll keep an eye on this front and the line of storms with it, because if it can hold together, we may have to start out with some strong wind gusts with these storms as they roll on in. But then the rest of the day, we're just mostly cloudy with more rain and storms, keeping us in the 70s for Wednesday afternoon. So just with this next system alone, anywhere from maybe a half of an inch to an inch and a half in terms of expected rain amounts. But that's not including our rain chances that'll stick around for Thursday and Friday. Fortunately, it keeps temperatures in check. 78 tomorrow, mid-70s Wednesday and Thursday, only 66 on Friday, and the rain chances, Jordan, are during the day. I think we'll dry things out just in time for the football games. There might be wet fields, but I think they can get the games in. Then the rest of the weekend's looking good. 66 Saturday, 72 Sunday.
And nice fall-like temperatures at nighttime. Nick Kelly, thank you. Hey, tomorrow is a celebration of one of America's oldest industries. It's National Farmers Day. October 12th is a perfect time to honor the hard-working farmers across this great country. They deserve a rest as harvest season comes to an end. Farmers, of course, provide food for our table. They grow many of the things for the clothes we wear. To celebrate National Farmers Day, go ahead and buy fruits and veggies from a local farmers market. You can also visit a nearby farm for a fun fall activity and thank a farmer in person. And thank you to every farmer out there. Coming up in sports, Tyrann Mathieu shares his thoughts on the Chiefs' struggling defense. Still ahead, also, the McDonald County Mustangs preparing for their district tournament opener. Danny Terzer has it all next.
It's time for postseason softball in Missouri. The McDonald County Mustangs prepare for the first round of districts, which begin tomorrow. The Mustangs finished the regular season with a 19-5 record. That earned them the #1 seed headed into the tournament. McDonald County is looking to get some revenge after last year's results, falling to Webb City in the championship game.
Last year, we felt like we had a good year. Didn't finish the way that we wanted it to finish. Kind of came back with a vigor this fall with about some unfinished business. We didn't start the season hitting the ball quite like we wanted to, but we've adapted throughout the year. And then, our pitching, which we knew was going to be a strong point going into the year, has definitely been a strong point throughout the season, and something we look forward to getting a chance to showcase that in the district tournament.
McDonald County will face Parkview in the quarterfinal round. That game is set for 6:30 on Tuesday in Neosho. Sunday Night Football featured a rematch of last year's AFC title game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. This time, the Chiefs came up short, falling 38-20. Early in the second quarter, the Chiefs took a 3-point lead, but the Bills went on to score 17 unanswered points, highlighted by a handful of big plays. The Chiefs turned the ball over 4 times in the game, and Andy Reid said his struggling defense felt embarrassed by their performance. Here's more from safety Tyrann Mathieu.
For me, it's all about continuing to lead these guys, in the right way. I think my emotion, my spirit, it could go left or right, and I think for me, it's important for me to kind of continue to, push these guys in a positive direction. Because I know we still have a good football team, so But we're struggling right now, obviously. But like I mentioned earlier, it's a long season, and I think we'll be able to get it right.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Private First Class Reinhold Nicolay, served in the U.S. Marine Corps, his hometown, Fairland, Oklahoma. And we are proud to thank and salute Private First Class Reinhold Nicolay. He's tonight's four-state hero. To learn more about all of our four-state heroes, or if you'd like to nominate your own, please do that. You can visit our website, see it right there, KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, now's your chance to see the world's greatest treasures from the edge of space. Stratospheric ballooning company Worldview has opened up reservations for its 5-day adventures. 8 passengers, 2 crew members are going to soar 100,000 feet for 6 to 12 hours at a time. But it comes at a cost, the fine print here, $50,000 a seat. The first commercial flights are going to fly above the Grand Canyon. They're scheduled to begin in early 2024. Future locations include the Great Barrier Reef, the Serengeti, the Aurora Borealis, Amazonia, the Giza Pyramids, and the Great Wall of China. Those are some pretty impressive places, guys, but you guys want to chip in for me to go? Is that cool?
Oh, wait, we decided you're going?
Yeah.
I won't be able to contribute much.
Every penny helps, Danny Terzer. Final look at the weather.
Yeah, back here on Earth, we're keeping things quiet for tonight and for much of tomorrow. Maybe a couple of isolated storms west late in the afternoon. Highs around 78, but we'll watch for our next best chance for widespread storms very late Tuesday night and Wednesday, but that will keep us in the 70s for Wednesday.
Final sports, Danny.
District tournament kicking off tomorrow for number 1 seeded McDonald County. They play Parkview.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of the night.
Salon service is provided